Let me ask you a question about death in the Middle East, just to lighten up the conversation a little bit. And this goes to the heart of the question of why the Obama administration this year, over the past 9 months, spent so much energy on your set of questions. Last month, apart from obviously the historic events that have been taking place in Syria and Iraq, 2,400 people were killed in Iraq. In Pakistan, over the last week or two, about 700. Syria, yesterday, 178 people were killed. 8 Afghan Air Force officers were blown up today on a bus. Lebanon, bombs are going off. Libya, mass murder. In Syria and in Iraq, of course, the wholesale murders, sectarian murders, as I mentioned. Yet the world and the administration today is focused on the deaths of 3 Israeli youths and 1 Palestinian youth. The Middle East is a comprehensively terrible place, and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, for all of its horror and unhappiness, is, relatively speaking, benign compared to what's going on around the entire neighborhood. I didn't even mention Egypt and the wholesale repression in Egypt. Over the last 9 months, John Kerry has devoted himself probably hundreds of hours to the Israel-Palestine dispute. In that same period, Iraq and Syria have collapsed. An al-Qaeda affiliate has declared a new caliphate in territory formerly controlled by both of these countries. Was it a mistake to focus so much of the administration's attention on what seems, at this moment at least, to be somewhat a peripheral problem?
Look, first of all, I think there's a basic assumption that you have made that is not accurate.
Not the first time. Go on.
Which is, it's not as if John Kerry was ignoring these other issues. He spent a great deal of time working those issues. He's worked very hard to try to address the Syrian issue since he came into office as Secretary of State. He is indefatigable, and it's not as if he can't do more than one thing. But what's true about John Kerry, God bless him, is that he has this conviction that if we don't do something to try to reverse the trends we've talked about, that the window will close on the two-state solution. And that will be very bad for Israel.
Okay, very bad for Israel, but is that a primary national security concern of the United States?
Yes, because we have a deep and abiding commitment to the survival and well-being of the Jewish state.
Apart from that, is it a national security concern of the United States? I mean, that is an emotional, spiritual, historical attachment.
It's a national interest of the United States. It's a vital interest of the United States that successive presidents have declared, including President Obama.
What I'm trying to get at is, and I know this is your job for the last 9 months, so I'm not trying to undermine, what you did, and I'm very pleased that you did what you did. But I'm wondering if the Obama administration has a somewhat...
and by the way, what I was doing relieved some of the burden on him to do a lot of other things.
What I'm getting at, I'm asking, let me put it more bluntly, does the Obama administration have misplaced priorities in the Middle East?
But again, you're operating on the assumption that it was an either-or proposition, and it wasn't. It wasn't. You can criticize, as many people do, the policy adopted by President Obama in Syria. But I don't think you can say that John Kerry didn't pay enough attention to it because he was pursuing his magnificent obsession with the Israeli-Palestinian issue, because that's not accurate.
Let me ask you this then. If John Kerry had not been appointed Secretary of State and had this personal commitment to this, do you think this would have been an emphasis of the foreign policy team of the Obama administration over the last 9 months? Or was this carried really primarily by John Kerry's magnificent obsession?
No, that's what I was saying. You could say.
Okay, no. I
didn't say he had a magnificent.
I'm just trying to provoke you. Go on.
Yeah. I have to be careful here.
Yeah. But
I think that there's no doubt that the Secretary of State came in wanting to make this a priority, and that the President was prepared to let him go for it, try for it. The president himself still considers it a priority. He would still like to see a resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict on his watch. He has not, at the moment, he's declared a pause. We've decided to step back for reasons we can discuss. But he's not walking away. He's ready to come back. He's even said he's ready to bring me back to rework it after the parties have had a chance to assess just how much they want.
Do you think they
to
want
achieve it? I think that what we learnt was that the status quo for the 9 months we were negotiating was more comfortable and preferable for both leaders and peoples than the kind of gut-wrenching concessions and compromises that would have had to be made in order to achieve an agreement. And those gut-wrenching compromises would have put both leaders in considerable political jeopardy.